Standard 8 Mathematics, Chapter 11, Statistics, Module 2. In this module, we'll study about the subdivided bar graph and percentage bar graph. Let us see what is the definition of subdivided bar graph. Subdivided bar diagram is a way of representation of data in which the total length of the bar is divided into different parts or components, in particular ratios, which depends on the contribution of various components. Let us now understand what is a percentage bar graph. A subdivided bar chart may be drawn on percentage basis as well. To draw a subdivided bar chart on a percentage basis, we first express each component as the percentage of its respective total. The diagram so obtained is called a percentage component bar chart or simply percentage stacked bar chart. In this class, we will see how to read subdivided and percentage bar graph. Practice set 11.2. Observe the following graph and answer the question. So this is a graph given, and observing this graph, we have to answer the question. First is state the type of graph. Clearly, by looking at the graph, we can see that this is a subdivided bar graph. Second is how much is the saving of Vaishali in the month of April. Now, if you see the scale, below the scale, it is written blue color for savings in April and white color for savings in March. Now, if we go to the bar that represents Vaishali, so it is this last one. Now, for Vaishali, blue will be the savings in April. So if we see the blue color bar ends over here, and for that it is 600. So we can conclude that 600 is Vaishali's saving in the month of April. Let us move on to the third one. It says how much is the total savings of Saroj in the month of March and April. So if you see, this bar denotes Saroj, and you have to find out how much is the total saving in both the months. So total saving would be the entire bar that is ends at 100. So answer would be 800. How much more is the total saving of Savita than the total saving of Megha? Now, if you see, for Savita, first bar graph denotes Savita, and the second last denotes the graph of Megha, bar for Megha. Now they have asked how much more is Savita saving than Megha's saving. So Megha's total saving is 500 and Savita's total saving is 1000. The difference, that is 1000 minus 500, that is 500, will be your answer. Whose saving in the month of April is the least? So if you see, blue color denotes the month of April, and they have asked whose saving is the least. So if you see, the blue bar for Megha is the least, so that is 200. So Megha's saving in the month of April is the least. So the answer here is Megha. Practice set 11.2, question number 2. Observe the following graph and answer the following questions. First one, we have to state the type of bar graph. Now, if you look carefully at the graph, each of the bar measures up to 100. So this is a percentage bar graph. Second one, how much present is the tool production to total production? How much percent is the tool production to total production in Ajita's farm? Now, if you look at the scale, blue color refers to production of tour and white color refers to production of grams. Now we have to find out how much percent is the tour production to total production in Ajita's farm. Now if you look at Ajita's farm, in Ajita's farm 60% refers to the production of tur and 40% refers to the production of grams. So the answer is 60%. Third one, compare the production of grams in the farm of Yash and Ravi and state whose percentage of production is more and how much. Now, if you look carefully at the graph, bars of Yash and Ravi, as the blue color refers to the production of tur and white color refers to the production of grams. Now, if you see for the bar corresponding to Yash, it says 50% of production of tur and 50% would be production of grams. While in the bar that refers to Ravi says it has 70% of tur and 30% production of grams. So from here we can conclude that Yash has more production of grams compared to Ravi. So Yash has 20% more production of grams than Ravi, as Yash had 50% while Ravi had 30, and 50 minus 30 is 20. So Yash is producing 20% more. Whose percentage production of tur is the least? Now as you see, blue color refers to the production of tur, and now in this bar the production of tur for Yash is 50, while for others it is more than 50. For Sudha, if you see, it is 40%. For Yash, it is 50. For Ajita, it is 60. For Ravi, it is 70. While for Sudha, it is 40%. So from here, we can conclude that Sudha has the least production of tur. State the production of percentage of tur and gram in Sudha's farm. Now, if you look at Sudha's bar graph, so in Sudha's bar, there is 40% of production of tur and the remaining white would refer to 60%, that is a production of gram. So tur is 40% and gram is 60%. Let us see now how to draw a subdivided bar graph. The number of boys and girls in standard 5th to standard 8th in a ZP school is given in the table. We have to draw a subdivided bar graph to show the data. Now, scale on y-axis is 1 centimeters equal to 10 units. So we have taken on the x-axis, first would be denoting boys and second bar would be denoting girls. On the y-axis, we have taken 1 centimeter equal to 10 students. So we are starting from 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 up to 100 or 110. So 1 centimeter equal to 10 students on y-axis. Now, there are 5th standard, 6th standard, 7th standard and 8th standard. So on our bar will represent each of the standard by different pattern. So 5th standard would be a blank, 6th standard pattern would be a slanting lines, 7th standard would denote pattern by straight lines and 8th standard the pattern is squares. Now let us start drawing with the bar. So there are two categories in this and the first category is boys. So the first bar would denote boys and the second category or the second bar would denote girls. Now first what we do is you find out the total number of boys. So to find out the total number of boys you just add up the first row. So that is 34 plus 26 plus 21 plus 25, that will give you 106. In the similar way, you find out the total number of girls, that is 17 plus 14 plus 14 plus 20, which will give you 65. Now you draw the first bar that will denote a number of boys. So you draw the first bar up to 106. So here, this is the first bar up to 106. Now, in this first bar, we have to divide it or subdivide it into categories, which will denote 5th standard, 6th standard, 7th standard, and 8th standard. Now, if you see for 5th standard, there are 34 boys. So on this first bar, you draw a line up to 34. So this portion of the bar will denote 5th standard. Now, if you see, 6th standard has 26 boys. Sixth standard has 26 boys. So now to find the second portion in the bar, what you do is you add 34 plus 26. So 34 plus 26 will give you 60. So on this bar, you draw a line up to 60 and you draw the pattern, that is slanting line, that denotes sixth standard. Now, if you see, seventh standard denotes 21. Now, to denote the seventh standard on this bar, what you do is, since we got 34 plus 26, we got 60. Now you add 60 with 21. So 60 plus 21 will give you 81. Now on this bar at 81, you draw a pattern. So this is 81 and this pattern will denote seventh standard. And the last portion of this bar will be 25 and that would denote the eighth standard. In the very similar way, you do it for girls. So the total number of girls is 65. So you draw your second bar up to 65. So this is 65. Now fifth standard, there are 17. So you mark 17. So 17 would be here. So you mark 17. This portion would denote standard fifth. Now to draw the bar which would denote standard sixth. The standard sixth has 14 girls. To draw 14, you add 17 plus 14, which will give you 31. So next you draw a line at 31 and this would denote your sixth standard girls. Now again, you add 14, so 17 plus 14 was 31 and 31 plus 14 was 45. So you draw a line at 45 and this would denote your seventh standard and the remaining part of the graph would denote your eighth standard. This is the way we draw a subdivided bar graph. Question number 3. Here we also have to draw the subdivided bar graph. In the following table, number of trees planted in the year 2016 and 2017 in 4 towns is given. Show the data with the help of a subdivided bar graph. Now, there are 4 towns, that is Karjat, Vadgaon, Shivapur and Khandala. And there are 2 years, 2016 and 2017. So we will have 2 bars corresponding to the 2 years. That is, one bar would be for 2016 and the other bar would be for 2017. Each of the bar would be divided or subdivided into 4 parts, where the first part would be Karjat, second part Vadgaon, third part Shivapur and the fourth part Khandala. These are the different patterns that would represent each of the town. So first what we do is find the total number of trees in 2016. So for that you just add all the trees that were planted in each of the city. So that is 150 plus 250 plus 200 plus 100, that is 700 for 2016, and total trees in 2017 would be 200 plus 300 plus 250 plus 150, that is 900. So the length of your first bar would be 700 and the length of your second bar would be 900. So first let us draw the length of the first bar, that is 700. Now we have to subdivide this bar into 4 categories, that is from each of this town, that is Karjat, Vadgaon, Shivapur and Khandala. Now Karjat has 150, so you first draw a line at 150. Now this portion would refer to Khandala. The second, Vadgaon, has 250. Now to mark 250 for Vadgaon, what you do first is add 150 plus 250, which will give you 400. So you draw a line at 400 and you do this pattern that represents Vadgaon. Now the third one is 200, Shivapur. So Shivapur was 200 trees. So for that you add 250 to your previous number, that was 400. So 400 plus 250 is 650. So you draw a line at 650 and do the pattern that represents Shivapur. Now this last portion you leave it blank because that would be 100 representing Khandala. Now you draw the second bar for 2017 and the height of the second bar is 900. So you draw the height of the second bar, that is 900, and for first city Karjat, since it is 200, you mark 200 on the first line. So 200 would represent Karjan. Now to 200 you add 300, that is 500, and you draw a line at 500, and this pattern would represent Shivapur. This pattern would represent Vadagan. Now for Shivapur you add 250 to 500. So 500 plus 250 will give you 750. So at 750 you draw a line and you do the pattern that would represent Shivapur, and the last portion you leave it as it is and you do the pattern which would represent Khandala. This is the way we draw the percentage bar, the subdivided bar graph. Now let us draw a percentage bar graph. In this percentage bar graph, three towns are given: Arvi, Morshi and Barshi. And the total number of trees planted is also mentioned. So total number of trees in Arvi is 60, in Morshi is 75 and in Barshi is 90. While trees survived in Arvi is 42, in Morshi is 45 and in Barshi it's also 45. Now we have to draw a percentage bar graph denoting each of the city. So first we'll find the percentage of survived trees. So to find the percentage of survived trees, you see how many trees survived, divide that by the number of trees planted and multiply it with 100. So 42 upon 60 into 100 is 70. So 70% of trees survived in the city of Arvi. For Morshi, it is 45 upon 75 into 100, which is 60%. Similarly, for Barshi, it would be 45 upon 90 into 100, which is again 50%. Now, you draw three bars that would represent three towns: Arvi, Morshi, and Barshi. So, these are the three towns denoting Arvi, Morshi, and Barshi. Now, there would be two categories in this. First is the trees survived, denoted by the slanting line patterns, and second were the trees that not survived, that would be denoted as blank. Now, in Arvi, the percentage of trees survived is 70. So you mark up to 70 and you draw the pattern. So this 70% would represent trees survived and the remaining 30% would be the trees that did not survive. Similarly, for Morshi, you mark up to 60. The 60% of trees survived while 40% of trees did not survive. And lastly, since it is 50% for Barshi, so you draw a line at 50, and this pattern would represent that 50% of trees survived, and here the remaining 50% of trees that did not survive. This is the way we draw a percentage bar graph. That's it for this video. Thank you.